To put this visit into context, we have with us Ajay Bisaria, former Indian High Commissioner to Canada. Thank you very much, Mr. Bisaria, for being with us. How do regional and global geopolitics shape the strategic value of this relationship at the current time, from New Delhi's point of view?
Well, the geopolitics is important, but this is also bilaterally an important relationship. There has been a Trump factor at play in the relationship that has accelerated matters, that has accelerated the coming together. But we also have a very pragmatic leadership now in Canada. So I think this visit, as the Canadian PM himself said, there has been more engagement between India and Canada in the last 1 year than we've seen in any of the last 20 years. So we are moving in a forward-looking way, and that was evident from the statements by the two prime ministers today, into a focused economic partnership between the fastest growing G20 economy in the world, which is India, and Canada, which is a G7 country, but also an energy and agriculture superpower. So I think that remained the focus of the outcomes.
You mentioned energy and agriculture superpower. How significant is the India-Canada, cooperation in terms of critical minerals, which is the future-looking direction of most relationships?
Absolutely. The strategic energy partnership that was declared today, that is a new forward-looking area of cooperation. Critical minerals is important because Canada is a huge repository of not just critical minerals themselves, but also processing technologies. And we also have in place Canada, India, Australia trilateral mechanism which can take forward this partnership. So the strategic energy partnership will have a critical minerals element, an LNG element, a clean energy element, and of course, the headline is a uranium element, which is a mega deal that was signed today to take forward the relationship in the civil nuclear sector.
So, when the two sides, Ambassador Bisaria, also have sort of made the framework, they've concluded to conclude a comprehensive economic partnership agreement by the end of the year. So what kind of hurdles do you think would come up in this negotiation?
Well, I think the hurdles are being rapidly cleared. This is an agreement which we've been seeing the conversation on this going on since 2010. Then we gave it up for a while because of the political turbulence in the relationship. And then we discussed an interim agreement. But now an accelerated CEPA comprehensive agreement is on the table again. And I see this concluding by this year as both the sides are keen to do that. And, both sides now have more experience given the turbulence of the last 1 year of having diversifying relationships, diversifying trade relationships, fixing or doing agreements with the EU and other geographies. So I don't see too many hurdles to this happening. There will be the usual set of challenges, but I think both have the experience to overcome them and secure an agreement by the end of the year.
And indeed, and the purpose of that agreement would be to double bilateral trade over the next few years, decade, I think.
Next 5 years, yes.
Next 5 years, yeah.
It talks about increasing trade to 50 billion US dollars or 70 billion Canadian dollars by 2030. I think it's very achievable. The economic relationship is already very strong. Canada invests more than $110 billion in India already. Yes. Canadian pension funds command $2 trillion of assets, right, and a large amount is invested in India. So the idea is to, accelerate and building on what already exists and build back a better relationship after the trouble of the last 2 or 3 years.
Indeed, and you did mention, of course, that Canada's role as a uranium supplier, this is over the next 10 years, I suppose, and is going to complement India's renewables push. To what extent, is this, is this going to be uh, uh, going to be a game changer over the next 10 years?
I think this is an important part of the partnership. And the good news is that both sides are not looking backwards, but just looking forward. Today, the Canadian Prime Minister mentioned Viksit Bharat, accompanied by Canada Strong, similar objective. And the whole idea is to have a vision for the relationship for the next couple of decades. And that would mean looking at futuristic areas of cooperation that includes, of course, this 10-year uranium deal, but also talking of a strategic energy partnership, a strategic innovation partnership in AI and innovation and so on. So it's a very forward-looking agenda as it must be, and I think both sides have reason to be very satisfied by these outcomes.
And has this visit of the Canadian Prime Minister renewed the strategic partnership in the sense that what kind of role will people-to-people ties play in taking it forward? Because there's a huge, sizable Indian people of Indian origin there, which I think the Canadian Prime Minister also referred to it, about 2
Yes.
million people, yeah.
Yes, indeed. In fact, there are 2 million people of Canadian heritage carrying Canadian passports, of Indian heritage carrying Canadian passports, as also a million more who may be permanent residents and others carrying Indian passports.
Right.
So, really, in a country of 38 million, you have 3 million Indian heritage people contributing enormously to Canada's economy, and that is a strong people to people ballast that this relationship gets. And I think there was a conversation, there is a strategic partnership in place between the two countries, at least on paper, since 2015.
Yes.
But the potential was not realized because the previous government in Canada was looking at the relationship through different prisms of security and of diaspora. But now we have a leadership in Canada that is looking at the relationship as a strong economic partnership that has to be built back and built for the future. And I think that is what this visit would have achieved.
Prime Minister also condemned terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, and we understand that the elements that within Canada who sort of foster this anti-India sentiment still exist. To what extent, do you feel that this is an irritant in the relationship?
Well, I think this is a structural irritant in the relationship. Some anti-India voices, some separatist voices within Canada. This has been around for the last 4 decades, since the bombing of Kanishka in 1985. And this won't easily go away. But the good news is that at the level of the prime ministers, this is not an issue that was discussed in the public domain. It is an issue that the security professionals are now discussing at the NSA level and other levels. So the whole idea is to not allow this irritant to become a factor in the political relationship, but to box it in a security mechanism which the professionals like the national security advisors would handle. So I think that is a signifier of the maturity of the relationship, which is forward-looking and not willing to be pulled down by security irritants.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Ambassador Ajay Basaria, for putting this visit into context for us.